I don't know. I'm sure that you know when you go to your book signings and you see the lines and you see how excited everybody is. But the calls that have already come in and us talking about this, when, you know, like they're so excited. So
that's great.
I think, you know, when you're on your side of it, well, I'm on their side of it because I'm a reader too, and I'm extremely excited. And what's next?
Let me just add a little bit more to this. One of the techniques used in the book, you know, let me go back and say that the story is fictional, but the scientific procedures that are done are real. I mean, these things are real. And one of the things that we have used, one of my doctoral students works at Oak Ridge, is a man named Arpad Vass. And Arpad is the person who has developed the sniffer. This is a handheld device for locating buried bodies. And it's been used in the Kaylee Anthony case. So it's something that's being used right now on a case that we've applied to technology going back 50, 60 years.
I heard that you guys were involved with that, the Kaylee.
Yes, well, Arpad is.
Yeah.
And we've given them some interesting data.
Yeah. They just can't talk about what that is.
I'd rather Arpad would do it instead of me. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
he's going to be there
that's a whole
Tuesday
subject.
night, by the way, when we have the opening. He's going to be, John's going to talk a little, and Arpad's going to talk a little, and if there's time left, I'll talk a little. But
I was wondering if I was saying his name correctly. So
it's
I-
Vass, V-A-S-S.
Okay.
Right, which is sort of
Vass and
confusing
Vass.
the first time you hear it.
Yeah.
You say, wait, Dr. Vass? I thought it was Dr. Bass. But interestingly, Arpad Vass, who's a real-life scientist in Oak Ridge, senior research scientist out of the lab, he actually appears under his own name in the book. You know, occasionally we'll have people in the novels and the fictional books appear under their own names, doing what they really do in real life. And that's the case in this book. Arpad has a cameo using the sniffer to search for the body or the bones of this World War II soldier.
What an interesting name for the device, too.
The sniffer.
Yeah. Wow. Better to have machinery do it, right, than
Well,
smell it
it's,
yourself.
you know, really this got started, I'm not sure we'll get off on this loop, but this got started with Arpad has been interested in the length of time since death, but not looking at the skeletal material or the maggot-covered bodies that I look at, but we're looking at the soil underneath the body. When the body decays, the fluids that run out of the body are called volatile fatty acids. They will leach into the soil, they will kill the vegetation right under the body. And Arpad wrote his doctoral dissertation on this. And, you know, we talked like the three of us are talking this morning. Wonder what cadaver dogs smell when they're trying to locate a body. Well, we don't know that. I mean, we still today, as we sit here, don't really know that. And Arpad has gotten interested in, we have 5 bodies buried at the body farm, and we take the smells off of those. They're hooked up with pipes, and so we take the cap off, and you can get the smells off. And
Hooking them up to just analytical chemical instruments.
yeah, so he can tell you what compounds are there, and the sniffer is based upon 30 of those compounds. It's very similar to a vacuum cleaner, and instead of sucking up dirt and stuff like that, it pulls in air. So you walk across the ground, and it pulls up these smells that are given off from the ground. And if it has one of these 30 compounds, and the little thing goes up and say you got a dead body.
Wow. And that's 30 now. Is it capable of being more compounds in the future?
Yeah, there are over 500 compounds given all of decaying bodies.
Wow.
Now, not all of those are of equal importance. So the sniffer he's developed so far has only about 30 of the compounds.
But that could even evolve as time goes on.
It can evolve. And originally, ultimately what he's going to do is build a device that you can put on the front end of a truck and drive across the field. And speed that process up. We're also at the stage where we can give the dogs these compounds that we know come off their bodies and see what they're smelling. But dogs are like people, are some good and some not as good. And so this is a good way of learning how good your dog is.
Well, plus dogs, I mean, they're working very hard when when a cadaver dog is sniffing. It's actually, the nose gets tired very quickly. You know, like if you stare at a dot on a page constantly, after 30 seconds or so, the dot disappears because the nerve cells in your retina get tired of sending that image. I mean, they literally get fatigued. And the dog's nose fatigues quickly. Whereas, you know, a battery-powered instrument, if it gives out, all you got to do is change the battery.
Change the battery.
Yeah. I actually have a dog that I did cadaver dog training with, and he was pretty good at it. But he had a very short attention span. He's an Australian Shepherd, and you know, he would sniff and find. I mean, this is using actual samples, you know, of decomposing human remains, and you know, he would find the stuff 2 or 3 times, you know, and then he wanted to play frisbee. You know, I mean, it's like, okay, you know, got it, Dad. I'm bored with this. Let's do something more interesting.
It's kind of quick and to the point.
And there are, you know, I mean, there are other dogs. I was on a search and rescue team, and there were other people with cadaver dogs that had more, that had longer attention spans. You know, they could keep at it longer. But even so, you know, I mean, you know, it's hard to tell. You know, some days the dog has a good day. Some days even a good dog can have a bad day. You know.
I think the whole thing is just fascinating, and this is some really neat technology.
The technology, we've combined the old and the new technology, and it's all real. One of the John mentioning, we used our past name. One of the problems trying to figure out whether this is a non-fictional or fictional book. We use actual characters. We use Art Bohannon, for example, who is a senior criminalist from Knoxville. We use his name. We use Arpad Vance's name. There are a few others in there who they have allowed us to use their real name, and so it's an interesting. Really, it's put together. It's different from a novel. A novel just being something that's been cooked up out of somebody's imagination.
There's probably a lot of other novelists. I mean, every novelist steals from, you know, material from their friends and family.
Sure.
You know? I mean, you got to get
some
it.
Great stories out
yeah,
there.
Yeah. And I suspect there are some other novelists that use some real names.
Yeah.
Some novelists actually use their own names as the main character in a book. You know, but.
It makes it very relatable for us, all the people that live in East Tennessee. It makes it very relatable for us, but also fun to read for people that don't live here and have no idea. It's just another made-up town with made-up characters as far as they're concerned. You know, but for us, it makes it that much more interesting.
Right, Big Ed's Pizza in Oak Ridge. That's not going to mean anything to somebody out in California.
Well, that's some great pizza.
But everybody, that's right. It is great. I think Big Ed's has now been featured in 2 books.
Oh wow!
There's a scene between Dr. Brockton and a beautiful librarian that's set in Big Ed's Pizza.
It's a wild man, that Dr. Brockton.
He does things Bill Bass wouldn't do.
Like have a pizza day in Big Ed's with a beautiful, enigmatic librarian.
I'm very excited to read this book, and I know that the rest of the East Tennessee is too. We're very excited about this latest book.